I'm a 35-year-old man. Being a YouTuber is the longest job I've ever had. And I never thought this was gonna last. I've always said, like, this is some crazy train ride that I'm on, that I don't know where it's going, I don't know how fast it's going there, but I'm just holding on top of it.
Shay Carl isn't alone on that train. Thousands like him have discovered the art of self-broadcasting, no longer constrained by talent agencies, media companies, and the old Hollywood guard. Shay and creators like him have become their own media businesses and are building massive loyal audiences, one video at a time. The creative crowd grows by the minute, and their audiences are swelling, stealing attention from traditional media outlets. Brands have not only been late to this party, but have underestimated the power of the creator movement.
We have to find those clever ways to make people care about our messages now. And the thing that we find is, I think we really used to look at this business as, when you did a campaign with celebrities and had borrowed interest, it was almost like cheating from a creative point of view. Felt like a weak crutch. Today, with the need to get attention and to get people to care and want to seek out your messages, borrowed interest is basically a pedestal that we count on to do business. So whether it's celebrities or whether it's us finding causes and things that people care about, those are the things that we can talk about, and then we need to find organic and natural ways for our brands to fit into those messages.
It's emerging as such a huge opportunity for brands is because brands are seeing the opportunity to tap into audience, because audience is more difficult than ever before to find. And I think with influencers, that audience is sort of up for rent in a way, and so we can tap into that. I think, you know, what it does for us is not only give us access and reach, but it gives us access to really authentic storytelling, and it keeps us honest, because it's not, you know, delivering them a brief and saying we need you to, you know, produce this commercial for cheaper than our agency could do it. It's, you know, how would you interpret this brief? What story would you tell through this brief? And we've seen, you know, phenomenal results in working with influencers and working with companies like Fullscreen, you know, to connect us to those key opinion leaders.
Overall, brands need to start looking at creators or influencers like media units. You can't just buy them, come in and leave. These people really are the next generation of talent, whether it's actors, directors, or producers.
It's so new for a lot of people. They don't know, to your point, what they're getting into. I think at the end of the day, influencers are the new networks of the world. They are your new ABCs, NBCs, CBSs. They bring everything a network does or a studio does directly to you.
In the case of influencers, where the objective is really to leverage and make a connection with their core audience, and that is what the brand feels like the objective of the initiative is. How do I turn their audience of fans into my consumers? Then it has to be a collaboration.
We want to work with you for some reason, because you bring the audience, we like your content, we want to collaborate with you, but we don't come to you and say, hey, here's our commercial, or here's our content, you know, go make it and insert our brand in here. It starts with, what do you want to do? What are your passion points?
You want to look at who their audience is to make sure that there's a match. You want to understand, which a lot of times people are familiar with the brand equity of certain people like PewDiePie, and they may know that he's a gamer, but have they really spent a lot of time watching the content he creates, watching the format of content, the frequency of programming? All of these things, you know, we're experts in, so we can make a recommendation based on the timing. Is it episodic? Is it a single video launch? What's the platform? What's the action we're trying to drive?
We sign development deals with creators we want to work with. They are just like a traditional studio model would. In the early days, you're exclusive to us and our brands. You can't work with competitors. And you're going to come to headquarters, and you're going to do brand immersion, and you're going to see our innovation lab, and you're going to learn all about our brands. And then we're going to sit down and say, what do you want to do? What are your passion points?
You take a brand that comes into the conversation and says, I want to understand what the audience is doing wherever I'm going to meet them, and I want to do something that's actually really valuable and meaningful. that message is always much more well received. And I think that's the objective. I think people are just not quite sure how to do that. Influencers want to participate in brands, and they'll do it even at a discount if it's a great opportunity for them. Right. If it's something that that resonates with what they do naturally, that they think their audience will really enjoy, they're hugely collaborative, because that's what they're going for. They want to maximize their experience with their audience.
Just about 8 years ago, Shay Carl Butler started making YouTube videos. He dropped out of college, drove a school bus, installed kitchen counters, and made videos. Hilarious, silly, authentic stories, often starring his wife and children. A simple display of a modern American family.
I'm a YouTuber, I guess you could call me. I like to think of myself first and foremost as a husband to my wife Colette and a dad to my 5 kids. But I am a creator. I like to make things, whether it's a vlog of me and my family hanging out, or I've made some music videos, and recently I started a clothing company. So you could say I'm a digital entrepreneur who has a hot wife and cute kids. That's what I do.
In 2009, Shay moved from Logan, Utah to Los Angeles to make videos with a group of friends and started a company called Maker Studios. Shay's train ride was gaining momentum. 3 years later, Maker Studios had amassed a group of over 1,000 creators whose channels were producing a staggering 1.1 billion views per month.
Yeah, they're just friends that I met on YouTube. I had started doing YouTube videos, and I met some of these people that were living in Los Angeles, and we became good friends and started making YouTube videos together. And it was taking the storytelling process to the next level. We were individual storytellers working, creating our own projects together, but when we started Maker Studios, we brought all of these creators together and helped collab and write and edit and shoot. We held boom poles for each other, and it was a great time. It was a really cool collaborative type of rising tide lifts all ships mentality, because it was brand new. When we started Maker Studios, it was a business that never existed.
Shay and his colleagues were surely inventing a new format of media, a format that was earning the attention of millions. By early 2014, Maker Studios claimed over 380 million subscribers and a whopping 5.5 billion monthly views. In March of 2014, the world's most famous storytelling company, Disney, acquired Maker for $500 million in cash with performance incentives that could earn the founders another $450 million. This deal legitimized the YouTube creator genre and sent notice to the media and marketing world that it was time to stop dismissing this practice of homemade content. Storytellers like Shay don't just come into this world ready to capture audiences. It's something deeper, something that gets engendered at an early age.
My grandpa was good at telling stories. Like, he would tell a story and then slap his knee and laugh. We'd always, Grandpa Eugene would go, and he loved to tell a good story. And then he would just laugh and slap his knee like that. And I just have great memories of growing up hearing stories from my grandpa, because he was in the Air Force. He was a colonel in the Air Force, Colonel Eugene Haynes Butler, and he was a great storyteller.
What's been the reaction of your mom, understanding that you're reaching millions of people with these stories?
Well, it's been a process. For the first 2.5 years, it was, you need to go back to school. You should be a flight nurse. You like adrenaline. You like helping people. It says right here, there's some classes to be a flight nurse. For 2-3 years, me doing this. And then I bought her a house, and now she likes my job.
Someone like Taryn Southern, an influencer on YouTube, we've worked with Taryn Southern for almost 2 years now. She's done stuff for Renaissance brand, for Moxie brand. She's done webisodes, activations, social for us. And that's that point of doing it. She knows how we work. We know how she works. We let her do what she wants. And I think that's a really important message for us, and it should be for a lot of brands if you want to do it right, is that we want to develop an ongoing relationship with you. It's not a one-off. It's not show up to set, collect your paycheck, go home. It is how do you continually evolve with us and develop content that works for everyone, but really build that relationship. Same thing we're trying to do with our consumers.
There's always a win-win, right? There's the old model, which in all business types fights with the new ways of doing things, the new tools. So I've always tried to keep a mentality of the only constant is change. But I understand that big brands didn't get to be big brands by just giving Billy Joe and Sally a couple $100,000 to sally forth their good name, you know what I'm saying? So I understand that, where it's hard to trust who's this kid, this web star or whatever, who wants to make a video and doesn't want to use the creative that we suggested. Because I've had a lot of fights with brands where, you know, I'll go through my middleman and they'll be like, the brand wants you to do this. And I'm like, I don't do that. I've never done that. In fact, I talk bad about that type of thing on my videos. Like, I had an opportunity I won't give the brand, but there was a credit card company that wanted to work with me with a very famous actress that I would have loved to work with. But I personally have talked bad about credit cards in my YouTube videos. So I couldn't do a credit card sponsorship because my viewers who have grown to trust me would be like, this is not you, Shay. Why would we buy this product knowing that the only reason you're telling us about it is because you obviously got paid?
There's something unique about YouTube and my audience and my voice, you know? I've spent this time creating a community who knows and loves me for the work that I do. I have a very specific voice, I have a very specific style, and you know, with that audience, that's how I succeed on YouTube. So when a brand comes to me and wants to work together, you know, there's a fine line that needs to be met where there's an understanding that that's the way it is for me and my audience. But, you know, a lot of times brands come and they want to hire me as a director to make a commercial and put it on my YouTube channel and show my fans, but it doesn't work that way. You know, there has to be that relationship, that understanding from the brand's point of view, trust. I say, honestly, more than anything, it's trust. You know, brands need to have the trust in the creator that the creator is successful for a reason. The creator is successful because they've built that fan base and they've built that style of storytelling.
You gotta let the creator create something that they would naturally have created without the brand's involvement. And there's always a win-win. There's always a creative that will work. I've done lots of videos where they're like, we don't like that idea. And I'm like, well, what about this idea? And they're like, okay, but what if you said this and did this? I'm like, okay, but I like this. So there's some back and forth sometimes, but a lot of times you can come to a great piece of content that not only the creator likes, but the brand likes. And if you, as a brand, get the creator to make something that they're not excited about, they're not gonna wanna share it. They're not gonna wanna tweet about it. They're not gonna wanna Facebook. They're not gonna get in the comments and interact with the viewers. But if it's a piece of content that they're proud of, because advertising can be great content. I love good commercials. That's why we watch the Super Bowl, right? So it's just all about trusting the creator. And guys like me, I've been making professional branded content for 8 years. And I think a lot of brands should realize that it's like, we know what we're doing. We want you to come back to us and give us more money to make more videos. So we're gonna make good stuff. You just gotta trust us a little bit.
I think if an influencer says, no, I don't wanna work with you, then you walk away. Because uniquely, they understand what resonates with their audiences, and that means that whatever it is that you want them to deliver or whatever it is that they stand for doesn't align. And that's okay. That's actually not a bad thing. It's you, because the whole point of working with someone like an influencer is that they are bringing credibility to your brand, and their audiences will see right through it, which damages their brand, it damages your brand. And so the importance of authenticity, true authenticity, right? Know what you stand for, know what you can authentically talk about, and understand the right people to help you deliver that message, but then allow them and give them boundaries, but give them creative license to develop and manage how that comes to life to their audience.
And what I hope for more than anything is that more brands are going to understand and realize this process and make the switch to working with us digital content creators, because I really think there are endless opportunities to help each other grow and create content that has never really been made. I mean, these brands, these big brands, have really only ever done this traditional model, right? And traditional advertising. I think now with the way we're telling stories online, I just think the possibilities of creativity and storytelling are completely endless.
My biggest advice to brands is to treat creators or treat YouTubers like they're telling their best friends, because the people who watch my videos, I don't see them as like just fans. I see them as family, viewers, people that I've had conversations with for the last 7 years. And that's why the promotion that we can provide is so much more valuable. It's literally the best type of advertising, which is what? Word of mouth, right? If you can get somebody to go tell their buddy that that movie was great, you should go see it, or I had a burger at this place and it was so good. If somebody's friend tells them a place is good, that's the most valuable type of advertising you can get, obviously, because you trust your friends, right? You're like, he's my good buddy. Why? He has no alibi or no motivation to make me go to this place. He's just telling me something was cool. I want to go to something that's cool, so I'm going to go to this thing. That's what YouTubers are to their audience.
People subscribe for a certain reason. It's that one-to-one relationship, right? Versus you don't subscribe to HBO because you like HBO. You like the shows on HBO. And you may only like one show. In the case of a YouTuber, you're subscribing because you like that person.
Snapchat barged into the social media scene in September 2011. The ephemeral photo and video messaging app already has over 100 million active daily users and 8 billion daily video views. With content so perishable and small scale, it can be tricky to amass an audience on this platform, an art form mastered by Snapchat filmmaker Harris Markowitz.
A friend back in 2013 introduced the app to me as a way just to communicate with friends using ephemeral content, and once the story feature came out, which is a way that you can post snaps and all your friends can see it, and it expires after 24 hours, I started to see that this is more than just one-to-one communication. This is a way that you can communicate and tell stories to your entire social graph. So I've always been into writing and producing and making videos, so it became an expressive outlet and a way for me to tell stories that have a beginning, middle, and end. And next thing you know, I started working with brands and help them create stories on their channels. I said, it's a crazy premise. It may be hard to grasp at first, but it's a way that you can create a 10-second photo or video, and once you post it, people can view it and then it expires. So the cognitive process of creating content on Snapchat is way different than anything else that we've seen. So it forces people to think differently about what they're sharing and how they're sharing it.
So you could have chose to be a storyteller on Facebook,
right,
or Instagram, or YouTube, but you now have a career as an influencer and a creator on Snapchat.
Right.
Why is it better for you as a storyteller?
Right now I can pick up my phone and I can make a story and thousands of people can see it. There's no way really for you to do that on any other platform. It's mobile. People can take their phone out, they can watch my stories on the go. So the fact that it's easy to create the content, it's ephemeral, so I'm not really defined by what I've done in the past. I'm defined by what people are seeing right now. So the fact that the content is easy to create, it's ephemeral, and it's authentic. What you're watching is happened in the last 24 hours. So it's just easy to do, it's fun to do, and I love it.
You're sensitive, and if I'm not mistaken, as I've talked to other influencers, about doing something that would destroy your own brand in front of your community. So there are times when you have to say, I don't feel comfortable doing this for a brand.
Right.
But I also think that sometimes people don't understand, and in a traditional Hollywood setting, you would just say, well, let's pay them more money or we'll get somebody else. Right. But what you're actually saying is, I have a better way to talk to my audience about the brand.
It's not so much, here, go create this piece of content. It's let's develop this artistic partnership. Let's find the best way for you to keep your creative integrity intact and also help deliver a brand message. And in doing so, we've created some really great content, and I feel like if some creators and some people feel that like, no, I don't want to do that, or they don't want to do this, and they get kind of like defensive. But I think that as a creator, if you're diligent and you really think of how can I work together with them, not for them, then that's when the magic happens. I'm passionate about doing this. I'm passionate about the content and the storytelling. So I would never look at resistance as a negative. I look at it as positive. Okay, let's think differently. Let's think outside the box. How can we get the point across and have me keep my creative integrity? It's a challenge, as we mentioned. So thinking of cool and different ways to overcome that obstacle is what keeps me going, actually.
We can see that brands have great opportunities to collaborate with influencers and storytellers. and reach audiences in new and engaging ways. But there needs to be a close evaluation in the value these creators bring. At the end of the day, investments in storytelling, no matter who created the content, what methods were taken in manufacturing the content, or what platform it gets distributed on, it has to clear a path to purchase. Marketers have had decades to refine the return on investment models associated with traditional media and marketing. But today's digital platforms and the move away from interrupted messaging presents a metrics challenge that marketers and their partners must figure out. How should brands retool their marketing teams to best assimilate these new metrics? What new media spending habits should be formed? And how do you create content that's good enough to boost revenue? We look at that next.